chapter number 1. Romans chapter number 1. And I'm going to begin by looking at verse number 1. Romans 1 and 1. When you get it, say amen. Amen. It reads like this: Paul, a servant of Jesus Christ, called to be an apostle, separated unto the gospel of God. Let me read it for you one more time. Paul, a servant of Jesus Christ, called to be an apostle, separated unto the gospel of God. If you would share my habit, look somebody in the eye and tell them, I just want to be a servant. Father, I stretch my hand to a servant. Amen. If you would, look at somebody and tell them, I just want to be a servant. In this day of popularity seekers, in this day of people who jockey for a position, in this day when everybody wants their names in neon lights, in this day when our churches are victimized by folk who sing to be seen, who stand to be noticed. We are invaded by folk who sing on Sunday morning and they act like they are Diana Ross. They stand prim and proper. They stand erectly, but they do not stand correctly, because their aim, their goal, their desire is to be seen of men and not to be worshiping God. Can I preach like I feel? In this day when our pulpits are filled with prophets for profit, men who stand for money and not the master, men who stand for notoriety and stand to be listed in who's who. In this day, I like the words of Paul. I like what Paul says in this text, Dr. Payne, because Paul gives an assessment in this text of his own worth, his own value, his own power, and he really gives us the strength of his own ministry. Paul says in Romans 1 and 1, this is what he says, y'all. He says, I am Paul, and I ain't nothing but a servant. It's quiet in this room. He says, I'm Paul, and I am nothing but a servant. Paul decides to take a subservient role. Paul decides to take on the form, if you will, of a servant. The Greek word for servant is the word doulos, which means to be a bond slave, which signifies that this ain't no kunta kinte situation. He is not a slave by constraint, but rather he is a slave by choice. Paul says, I decided to serve the Lord. And I wish that we could have this same spirit to invade the ranks of our churches. The problem in the church today is we have too many folk in position with the wrong disposition. I wish I had some help here now. They don't come to serve God. As a matter of fact, they come to be served. But listen to the words of Paul in our text tonight. Paul says, I ain't nothing but a servant. Now if anybody had something to brag about, it was Paul. Paul had sat at the feet of Gamaliel. Paul was circumcised on the 8th day. Paul could speak 14 different languages, could speak 7 of them fluently. Can I get a witness here? But Paul has the humility to say, I ain't nothing but a servant. In other words, can I tell y'all tonight, Paul understands something most of us don't understand. God is more impressed by your attitude than your title. Can I push like I feel? He is more impressed, as I've said, by your disposition than your position in church. Because there are a lot of folk who wear, get this, they wear God's uniform, but they play on Satan's team. They come to church and they are in service, but they are not of service. Can I get a witness here? Paul says, I ain't nothing but a doulos. And listen, it amazes me how arrogant and how bigoted and how uppity we are in the church. Listen, Paul could brag with the best of them. Paul could speak 14 different languages, but he has the humility of a servant. Most of us can't speak one properly, and folk can't say nothing to us. Paul says, I ain't nothing but a servant. If you would, just touch my tongue, I ain't nothing but a servant. I wish that spirit would invade the ranks of our churches. I wish we had more folk who are willing to serve. The problem in the church is this, y'all. We got folk who want to run stuff, but they don't want to be a part of nothing. It's quiet up in here. Listen, they want to be president of the program. They want to be head of the auxiliary. They want to be the chairperson. And the problem is we got folk who want to do all of the stuff that garners notoriety, but nobody wants to run the vacuum cleaner. Nobody wants to clean the bathroom. Nobody wants to do the things that don't gain hilarity. But I like what Paul says, because Paul says, I ain't nothing but a servant. I wish I had some help here now. But Paul does not leave his statement there, Dr. Payne, because he makes it crystal clear, not only that he serves, but he makes it crystal clear who he serves. Because he says, I am a servant of Jesus Christ. In other words, listen, I answer to Jesus Christ. And tonight I thought this text was befitting because whether you know it or not, we are celebrating a servant tonight. Did y'all hear me? I said we are celebrating a servant tonight. But let me make it clear to you tonight who he is serving. His job is not to impress the people. His job is to improve